Hello, welcome back to NVN London. Today, finally, is the day that we get to apply PPF to the TDF. Now, you've seen, well, maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't, the In Detail series that I've been doing with AFA here, sharing with you techniques that we apply to our cars here that you can use on your own cars at home. But today, we get to finally apply them to the TDF. Reason I haven't got round to it yet is because we've been so busy with clients' cars that I don't want to jump the queue and just assume that they can do my car. But now we finally found a slot. We're here having it done. The whole car's been detailed, and the guys have been working while I've been away doing the majority of the car and applying it with the PPF, but there's still some panels left that I can film and share with you. First of all, we're going to go and join a member of the NVN team called Reese, who you haven't met yet. He's in charge of the templating and plotting and lots of other graphics work around NVN, and he's going to run us through the differences between standard templates and our templates from NVN that makes our application different than most. Let's go check it out.
So for a very few of the components that experts apply to us, they are very accurate, but there'll be some areas on some cars where the panel does need to be almost tailor-made.
Okay.
So that's when kind of the designing element comes in, and it's just trial and error. We basically do like a test cut of just that section piece, and we just try and perfect it, and we save that template for ourselves. So the next time that car comes in, we've got it bang on every single time.
Okay, so that's what a Lamborghini SVJ full body PPF kit looks like.
Correct, yes.
How many pieces are there?
How many pieces? Many.
Many. So it
think
sounds like over 120, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And we thought that was complex, and you're saying this is more complex.
Yeah, because of the geometric shape, every time the surface changes, it's almost like a new piece that needs to be cut.
And I'm just looking at, check these out. Look at these tiny little ones here.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of fragmented parts there are on this car is crazy. But let's have a look at the TDF template, and if you have an example of the tweaks you've made to that to make the difference.
Yeah. Okay.
So that, for anyone familiar with the side of a TDF, I'm sure you can guess where that is. This is the front wing or fender. Obviously the Scuderia shield is there, and this is quite unique to the TDF versus the standard F12 in that there's this sort of carbon blade there. Tweaks and changes.
Yeah, so if I show you the original first, so what's been shown here in the red line is the original template supplied to us by Expo as a default component to use.
Okay.
If I overlay that onto our edited piece, you'll be able to see more changes. So I'm just going to align this properly. Okay, so now you'll be able to see where it's been extended.
Yeah.
So the black line will basically represent where it is now compared to the original.
Right.
So you can see here this edge has been extended.
Yeah.
This edge has also been extended.
Vastly changed.
And here as well. And here as well.
Right. And so what are the reasons for extending those?
The pursuit of perfection, basically.
Right answer.
Cool. So yeah, but I mean that's what we do here, right? So when we go to these extents, I'll give you an example of this shield, for example. So
this shield, it's a tiny tweak, but
look at that. When you see it up close, you can see the level of detail we go to make sure it's correct.
Yeah.
The inner line that you can see there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up. It's green.
Yes.
So it's that's where it used to be, and the black line represents where it is now.
Okay.
So all we've done here is we've had to extend each side by 1 mil, and we've had to tighten up the corners because these rounded curvature edges match the embossed part of the surface of the panel itself, not the shield.
Right.
So we've tried to match the shield itself and then kind of slightly expand it out. So once it's applied, it's literally as if it's born to be there. So it's just a perfect,
fantastic.
Kind of
yeah.
So you can see on this Ppf installation we did earlier on, we noticed that there was a small imperfection in the corners of the Scuderia shield. One of the things we tried to do is to make sure the fit is absolutely bang on. So if you can see on this curvature line here, the radius of that curve is relatively larger than what we'd like it to be. So with the cut we've just done, we've just extended out this line by 1 millimeter, and we've tightened up that corner so it's a tighter fit to the Scuderia shield.
I mean, you know, from here it looks tiny, but I guess over time, I mean, first of all, when you do get up close to it, it doesn't look the tidiest right now, but also over time it could get dirt under it, it could increase the chances of it lifting.
If it gets dirt under it as well, it gets more noticeable, and that's what you don't want. Like you say, lifting, that can happen too, so that's why the fit has to be so important.
Okay, so just like on TV, this is a template we made earlier. These are examples, are they, of the extended edges?
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
So because, like, for example, if this was left to an edge, it would leave this edge here quite exposed,
Uh-huh.
and that's not necessary, so we just wrap that in.
Great stuff. And the same as well would go for here. So the idea behind this, the extension really, rather than it just finishing right on the edge, which again leads to you know, increased chances of lifting, and over time where there's an edge you can often get dirt on it, which will highlight that line. But by extending it, you're able to tuck it over and make it almost an invisible application. So lines are extended all the way here and on this unique blade to the TDF, and this is an example of how we are making custom templates just to make it look absolutely perfect. Okay, so this is our setup. Actually, this is a room I very rarely film from, and it also provides quite a unique perspective on NVN out there. We've converted these containers here into an office with these beautiful glass doors so you can look out on all the cars being worked on. But before that stage happens, this stage happens. So the template you've just seen on the computer with Reese over here is being sent over to our GraphTech machine, and it is about to sort of print out the template on our sheet of Expel, and it conveniently gets collected down here in this sort of Expel hammock, as it were. And then once it's done from here, we take it out and we apply it on the car just out here. Okay, so there was some sexy time lapse of the PPF being applied. Effectively, what you've just seen in that is about 3 days worth of work. I know we've made it look quick and easy in this segment, but you'll be here quite literally for days watching it be applied. But what I thought I would do now is run by some of the trickier areas and styling features which are specific to the TDF that make this application a little bit tricky, and is another reason why we create our own NVN custom templates for these cars. Now, earlier on we ran through this area here, which has now been completed, so you can see the areas have been folded over this way. Look, you would never even know it's been done. There's no join line because there isn't one. It goes all the way over and therefore is an invisible application. Same with this here, it's tucked right over. But styling characteristics which are unique to the TDF are of course these arch vents here. Now, if you can look really closely, you can see little split lines like that which allow the PPF to fold and mold into these contours. But once again, they've been customized and extended so they go right to the very, very edge. Now, obviously, impact zones majoritively come from the front of the car, so there isn't too much risk of getting impact on edges on the inside. But on the outside here, they've taken it so far over. In fact, you can't even see it. That whole panel is PPF'd to the very, very edge. So we've customized every template to go and push the boundaries so that we can protect as many exposed edges as we can. Also, unlike on a standard F12, we've got these massive flared carbon sills here. Once again, also a pretty heavy impact zones for debris coming off the front wheels. And then, one thing I thought I would highlight is we have actually removed one component from the car. Now at NVN we sort of pride ourselves in not taking any panels off any car, but this is a super easy fix. There's just 2 screws there. So this is the fuel filler cap area. Those of you guys who have followed the journey will know that this is one of the few TDFs which has a titanium fuel cap as an option. That was just to tie it in with the theme of the car a little bit more. It also has this prancing horse cavallino on the edge of the cap, but it's as simple as just removing these 2 screws there. That is as simple as it gets in terms of taking panels off this car. But the reason being is that all of this whole panel here is a single piece of PPF, and it has to go over this fuel cap. And then, importantly, it's recessed and tucked into this tight crease of the area where the fuel cap sits in order to, first of all, make it look like an invisible application, but also to ensure maximum protection. Of course, when you're putting your fuel filler in there, there is the chances that you might be able to scratch the paint here, taking it in and out. So we like to tuck it all the way inside there, and by taking this off, it just allows us to get our hands right in and make sure it's fitted without any sort of stretch marks or creasing. It just allows our guys to work a lot cleaner. And then we also have around the rear more carbon fiber. Now all of this here has been PPF'd. You can see underneath here this massive diffuser. You wouldn't think it, but these actually get hit quite a lot because of the aggressive aero, which has been designed by Ferrari. There is actual ground effect on this car, and so the disturbance of air and turbulence underneath there actually throws up quite a lot of stones. So all of that has been PPF'd as well. And all in all, it's starting to look pretty shiny. One thing I want to highlight is that this car actually came with factory paint protection film on it. If I can just squeeze by these guys here, who are halfway through their job. If you look right here, you will see the Ferrari Cavallino, the prancing horse. So that is an indicator that this has had factory paint protection film applied from build stage. Now, while there isn't anything wrong with that, it doesn't protect the extremities of the car. So what we've done is created some bespoke PPF here so that it fills in any of the missing gaps which have been left out from factory. But importantly for me, despite the fact that the Ppf installation from factory wasn't that great, there's still an original component of this car, and this is a one of 799 cars made, and in terms of Ferrari history, it's quite a significant and important car. So I thought it was important to leave on the original factory Ppf as a nice piece of history for this car, rather than taking it off and applying our own to it. We've just sort of filled in the blanks, as it were. So it does still have some factory PPF right on the front nose, but that's where it ends. There is also one panel on this car, which is a matte panel, which is just on the top of the bonnet line right here. So this black panel has actually required the application of matte PPF rather than gloss, and that, I believe, is the only matte panel on the outside of the car. Everything else we've used conventional glossy PPF for. Okay, so here's something else that we also do at NVN, is to make sure that the engine bay is covered and sealed. Oftentimes we'll detail the car in its entirety before we start applying the PPF, and quite a lot of the time the client will even ask for the engine bay to be detailed, particularly if it's a used car. So when we apply it, you'll notice there's lots of fluids being used, lots of spray. The last thing you want is the PPF lubricant spraying onto your engine bay. So we make sure that it's all covered and sealed off so that the detailing work or a brand new engine bay doesn't get any overspray on it from this application. And there goes our familiar Senna. This came into NVN about a month back now. Full body custom PPF. Now leaving to go back on the transporter, back to its owner. But the reason it's here is that it's just been away from us for a whole month. It's been on road trips, track days. We offer free complimentary health checkup on the PPF, on the car in general. People drop their cars off, free inspection, make sure it's perfect. Glad to report every panel on the car was spot on. We've inspected it, we've learned, we've seen some of the results of our custom work. That's my TDF, casually starting up right there. This is gonna be great. I haven't driven this car for so long. And look, here it is. It's about to roll out. We're heading towards the end of Friday when the majority of cars are leaving. There is obviously plenty of overlap from cars which haven't been quite completed yet. But this one's finally coming home. Chances are I'll bring it back down here because I've got some customizations I wish to do to it before I would count it as completely complete. But it's road trip time. I'm using this to go somewhere pretty exciting on Saturday. The Senna, before it leaves. Yeah, this has had customized full body PPF. Look at some of the intricate details on this car which make it unique to the very lucky owner. Look at all this exposed carbon MSO detail. The MSO work on this is endless. I mean, for example, check out these matching but contrasting pinstripes along the carbon bonnet. Yeah, it's a special thing, really special thing. And then casually behind follows the TDF. Now this is being put on a transporter to go home. I'm not actually driving it home because I have to drive the GT2 RS back home. But this is being taken up by a company called VVT, which have a really unique system on board, which I shall share with you once it's been loaded, that we can check on the progress of the car. Worth staying around for, because this is the first time I've seen a transport company do what I'm about to show you. So I just thought it was an interesting insight into showing you the process of how I transport my cars. So I shall highlight that to you shortly, but this is the moment where it actually goes home. This has now had its full body PPF. We got AFA checking it over. You might remember him if you've been following the In Detail series. It all starts with him and his stations, checking the paint, making sure it's perfect before applying PPF. Then it goes on to Jason, who does the final inspection of the PPF application itself. So we've got two guys at the very top of their game, inspecting and checking every car at every stage to make sure that it's up to their standards before signing it off, before it leaves here. And then this is what happens on a Friday at NVN. We have the most incredible traffic jam as cars get picked up and loaded onto transporters. There's one there for the Senna, and then you'll see the guys from VVT on the outside here ready to pick up the TDF. So it's quite an exciting time. We're always a little bit sad, don't get me wrong, to see these cars leave. We're always happy to see them come back for their health check. Alright, the car's in. So I did say I'd show you a really cool feature which really sold me these guys. So while the car is in here, you might notice this little unit up here, which is in fact a camera, and I can tap into that camera and check out the status of my car in real time while it's driving along. I know it's simple, but I just think it's a really nice technique to check on your baby, make sure it's cool. And look, this is how real time it is. That's me filming you looking at us. What a crazy thing. It's a great feature from the guys at VVT. I will be sure to be tuning into that on my drive home, but this is it. It's been at NVN for quite some time. These guys are strapping it in, rigging it up. Hopefully the weather stays cool for tomorrow, because we're going to be putting some nice mileage on this car finally, going to an event which I shall share with you soon. Look at it, it's so shiny, it's protected, and man, it feels good to know that the whole car is now finally covered in PPF. It honestly does make all the difference, particularly psychologically, knowing that that is good to go. Haha, that is it. TDF packed away, on its way back home. Adventures with that coming soon, but right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going to drive home in that thing. I've got a GT2 RS for the next 4 days. Obviously lots of content coming soon. Be sure to tune in. You do not want to miss this one. As always guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Ciao.